Okay, looks like we're live for a hangout and Ask Me Anything with DAOstack CTO Adam Levi. I'm Josh. I work on the community team, and I will be feeding the questions today to Adam. Some of the questions have come in ahead of time, and we may get a few more on our Telegram chat. If you would like to interact with us during this call, Telegram is the place to do that. If you're already on Telegram, our handle is DAOstack Community. And if you're not on Telegram, you can use the link t.me/DAOstack Community to download Telegram and join our community chat, which I recommend anyway to stay in touch with the DAOstack community. So turning now to some questions for Adam Levi. Hello, Adam.
Hello, what's up?
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the DAO ecosystem and this question from David. I think probably pronouncing your name is Yop, though I'm not entirely sure. Do you make any distinction between DAOs and agencies on the technical level? And sometimes we say agencies or smart companies. So do you make any distinction between DAOs and smart companies on the technical level, or are they just concepts used to explain the DAO ecosystem?
So first of all, who asked it? David, what was the name?
His last name is spelled L-L-O-P, which I imagine might be Yop or okay. Lop.
So thank you very much for the question. This question is actually a very good one, as I have this discussion with Matan very often. Like once in fortnight, I have this discussion. And basically, at the moment in the architecture, at the technical level, I can tell you that there is no difference. And these concepts of smart company, agencies, and DAOs are the same technically. However, when you think of how we intend the system to be used and the scaling of the system, then basically, yes, there is a reason to give different names for these different concepts. But I can tell you from my perspective that in this discussion with Matan, I usually take the side that says that we need less terms and we may need to give up at least one of these terms. But at the moment we have all of them. Technically, they're all the same. It's a very good question, actually. But basically, if to explain more deeply, then basically we see a smart company as like more of an atomic unit, and a DAO is something like a mesh of smart companies, which is itself kind of a large smart company, but it has other meaning. Basically, you can think of a smart company where almost all of its agents are smart companies. And then you could think of it as a DAO, as a scale-up thing. But technically, it is the same.
So then a good follow-up question might be how reputation or perhaps even token might be transferable across agencies and DAOs. Flordiano asks a question on the forum that is in this area. Assuming there is global value in harnessing local DAO reputation points in wider use cases like other DAOs, I wonder how the interoperability or standardization of reputation takes place.
So the idea is basically that reputation, and I'm not sure I totally understood the question, but maybe you can direct me if I'm wrong when I'm taking this. But I think the idea is very much related to the last question. So if we see DAOs as an organism which is made up of a lot of smart companies, and that's how we see the scaling of the system, then basically having reputation in a small agency or smart company, okay, will allow you to make decisions to vote in a larger DAO. So this is how you can see basically the bubbling up of decision making, okay? and this floating. So this is how the reputation, you could say, interfere with each other. Furthermore, you could actually use it in a more direct way. So a DAO can decide that on some sort of decisions, it gives the power to a specific reputation system and not to its global reputation system. So let's say you want to have a decision or something which is very specific, say, I don't know, software development. So you could pick up a reputation, a sub-reputation system of software development system, and then and just give the power on this specific issue to this group of, to this reputation system, to this group of people or agents.
But it's not the case then that the DAO and the smart company or agency would have different or distinct reputation currencies in that case.
So here, no, I'm considering here two different. So think of two different smart companies. Well, let's say it's a big one. It's kind of a DAO. It's a very big mesh.
Yes.
Okay. It has its own reputation system, and you have a small small DAO or small smart company that probably has some reputation in the larger DAO. But the DAO can basically delegate some of its decisions to this small reputation system. This is a manual way to make things more efficient, basically kind of delegation. But other than that, of course, you could flow decision upwards just by the small DAO taking a decision to vote in the larger DAO.
Understood. Okay, great. Thank you, Adam. So let's move to a question from Moskalik on Telegram. And this is about the flexibility of ARK. Where can the DAOstack framework be flexed for different governance systems? We've talked about ARK. This is me paraphrasing. We've talked about ARK being a kind of sandbox, or like a Lego building block set in which, you know, users can mix and match the modules to build their own governance template for the organization. Can you explain how that works technically?
Yes. So basically, first of all, so you could think of ARK as a kind of if this then that scheme. I'm not sure if everyone are familiar with this system, which is I highly recommend. This is not a blockchain system, if this then that, but it's a very nice one. So basically the ARK framework is built in some kind of the same way. So you have the schemes which are building blocks of what you can do. Okay, basically all the schemes that the organization is registered to or registered in this organization are logic schemes that you can use, and in each scheme it can have some kind of a how do you make decisions on this scheme. And here basically you you take out all the decision making, so you make it very modular, and you have like a governance module. So you have like complete separate modules of how decisions are made. And basically you can build, so there is like an API, some kind of an interface, and you can build whatever governance module that you like. And basically plug it in, and the same is for schemes. You can build any scheme that you think of and plug it in. But of course, it is very non-trivial to come up with governance modules that can actually scale and be resilient to attacks. This is actually a big part of the research that we're doing in DAOstack. Okay, coming up with these templates, and I think we have some or a lot of answers on this issue, and we will be building these templates, but I'm hoping and I'm sure other people will as well. And in this sense, the system is modular.
So, but so in that sense, is it also upgradable? We say that ARK is upgradable. Can you explain in layperson's term how that is the case?
Okay, so upgradability. When you say upgradability in the blockchain space, it can mean like few different things without going into the technical issues. Okay, and basically, when you have something which is modular, then by definition it is also upgradable, right? Because if you can put the pieces together, then you can just take up the piece and bring a new one. So it is kind of an upgrade, and the whole system is built on this fashion. So you can basically upgrade everything. Okay. Now there are other concepts of upgradability, which are not architectural concepts, but actually contracts. Basically, there is a whole notion in the blockchain space of how you reuse code. Okay, and reuse. So there are a few options. So one option you could do is the option of libraries. Basically, you have two. I don't want to go into the details, but you have like a contract which is some kind of like a library of code, and then you have your contract, and it delegates call to that all the logic sits here. You could. This is quite dangerous, I must say, as people have seen in the case of the Parity wallet. So the Parity wallet had a library, and this library had a bug, and someone was able to kind of kill the library, and a lot of money was just gone. Like, I'm not sure how many millions, but it was quite a bit. And now basically there are a bit more sophisticated concepts of upgrade of contracts, which are something like proxy. This is a bit newer concept. Basically, you have the delegate and you have the storage sitting in a third contract, and you can, and of course you can have something which is more similar to what we're doing, basically having contracts as a service, and then you can just basically register to a contract and or leave it, and then you can just switch between them. So these are like three different concepts that you could think of as you think of upgradability in the blockchain or in smart contracts. Now basically our concept or the main issue of Arc, because it's very modular, is that you get the third one for free. Now, whether or not to use the second one of proxies, this is something that we're experimenting with, and we are actually developing. But you have to understand that these concepts are very new and very dangerous, actually. And as we see security as a top priority, we're trying to be very careful. And if Gav Wood gets it wrong, so I'm guessing we have to be a bit modest and take things step by step.
Right. Yeah, good. Okay, thank you. By the way, that last question from InfoCrypto on Twitter about upgradability of Arc. Natalie asks along a similar vein about the security of Arc, understanding that we're undergoing security audits. What can you tell us about the status of third-party security audits and testing for Arc?
Okay, so I can tell you that the security audit is basically really on its last day or two, and we're actually just the report is being prepared as we speak, and we had a very good period of audit, and I want to thank our auditors as I get a chance. So Chain Security are auditors, and they're actually very good, and we were able to. They were able to learn the system very quickly, and we had very good even academic discussions about what you can and cannot do in smart contracts. Really enlightening to see how fast and how people can go into the code base, which is quite big, I must say, and really slowly get it, and then talk to you about it, and really you can see that they understand the whole architecture and the little things behind it. It was nice. So I can give like 2 sentences about security, or my 2 cents or 5 cents about security. So basically, I think security is only by fire. So the only test you can do is by fire. Nothing else works. And and this is how I see the system launching. So yes, we had an internal audit. Yes, we're finishing an external audit with a group which is very good. You can look at their team; they're very impressive. But more than that, I think the best security scheme is just get it out there and put some money in it. Not a lot, not like the DAO. Don't put 50 million or 150 million. I'm sorry, but start dripping money into it and just get hacked. I think this is the best security option. Just get hacked. We will get hacked. It's okay. It's really okay. As long as you do it bit by bit and you know that there's a chance it will happen and you're preparing for it, it's okay. Okay, and I think this way you can really get high quality security if you do it step by step and you take it easy and you know and you really understand the risks. And I think blockchain is a new world, and most people do not tend to not assess the risks correctly. Even once a contract is an entity, you building it, you have no control over it. You have no special privileges. This is something that we have to digest. And even if you say it's upgradable, well, no, there is some code in it that you think should allow you to upgrade it in the future. This code might bring even more, complications that you cannot anticipate, and it might actually harm you in the future. Mm-hmm. So we have to be very careful with these things, and we have to take it easy, and we have to be modest. I think this is the most important way to play it.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you. This question now from Element 1. Does all execution currently take place on-chain? If so, are there any plans to migrate functionality off-chain?
Very good questions today, I must say. Yeah, so actually, yes, the answer is, well, the answer is yes for both of the questions. So yes, the system is currently on-chain. Yes, there are plans to go off-chain. Basically, there are, as we speak, we are planning the next 2 architecture versions of the system. So we have like the one that I see launching in a few months, and the one that I see launching, I don't know, in, let's say, a bit less than a year or 10 months, because those are the timescales that we're planning to. And yes, the answer is yes. I think if I may put here my 5 cents again, which is not related to DAOstack, all blockchain will go off-chain. That's how I see things, as like someone who's doing blockchain full time and professionally. I think everything will go off-chain. If you're not using Lightning networks, please use Lightning networks and understand the power. And you could see it very nice in Bitcoin. Basically, Bitcoin today can go entirely off-chain, and you can do 1 Satoshi transactions, which is amazing with this speed. So I think this will happen also in smart contracts. It's much more complicated. Payments, without going into the technical details again, payments is just a single number that you have to keep, the balances, and the state when regarding to contracts is a much more complicated thing. It's harder to settle peer-to-peer. But I think in the future we'll see it. If you haven't read the Plasma paper by Vitalik and Joseph Poon, then I recommend it. But it's not as near, in my opinion, as we might think. So you could say that there are 2 options to go off-chain. One option is to build your own off-chain contracts, just build custom-made it to your own system, and another is just to wait for the entire blockchain to go off-chain. in some sense. The entire entire blockchains will go off chain, as the Plasma paper describes it. And currently, I'm planning the first one. So basically, to custom made our own system to off chain. But I think because I think the time scale to do a generic off chain is quite long. But if it will happen faster, then we'll be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. So then maybe a related question might be this one also from Element One. Is DAOstack agnostic in principle with regard to its underlying blockchain? Would you like to build Arc on networks other than Ethereum? If so, which?
Mm-hmm. So the question, the answer is, of course, yes, because what we do, basically, the things that we're good at is architecture and protocol. So yes, we can. Coding is not that hard. Let me take it back. Coding in a blockchain environment is hard, and building smart contracts is hard, but it's not as hard as planning protocols. And I'm sure that if you'll have other smart contracts blockchains, then DAOstack might be there, and of course we can have like way to connect them, something like atomic swaps or similar to that. But I must say that at the moment, I don't see these blockchains emerging very fast, right? I don't see like a big competitor to Ethereum at the moment. I must say, my apologies to all the competitors, but and there are a lot, quite a few, but Ethereum is really quite ahead, and I'm not sure we'll see a new smart contract blockchain.
So if that's the case, then this question from Ezra is quite applicable. How much is DAOstack then depending on infrastructure upgrades to Ethereum in the short term?
Well, I think the whole this relates to the off-chain question. So at the moment, basically, the Ethereum blockchain itself doesn't scale very much, right? I think we saw it very well in CryptoKitties case. Like the first killer app that actually worked on Ethereum. By the way, a great app. Let's give it to the developers here. Okay, really a great app, really magnificent work. Well, really, because just because the use case was such a dumb one, and it was so great because all the execution was very high quality. I liked it very much, and it got adopted like very fast. And you could see that I was unable to send almost anything on the network for like 2 days. So it was quite great to see it. I enjoyed it very much.
You're also known, by the way, for in some way applauding the DAO hack, the original DAO hack.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure if applauding is the correct word.
Acknowledging maybe the.
I was very much, let's say, I can appreciate good work when I see it.
Right.
And the DAO hack was very good. If you read the contract of the hacker, you can see it was done like very professionally, and I can appreciate these things.
Yeah. So anyway, so CryptoKitties and upgradability and upgrades within Ethereum.
Yeah. So basically, yes, DAOstack currently sits on Ethereum. Yes, it's on chain. So at the moment, yes, the answer is yes. We are limited to the bandwidth and scalability of Ethereum. But I must say that when we started DAOstack, so decision making has a lot of use cases, and you could think of it basically as both governance and curation. And we had like a few days of discussion which of these directions to tackle more. And this was a year ago or something, and or a bit more than a year ago. And And the reason we didn't take curation is because we understood that curation is very high frequency, and governance is much lower frequency. And that's and we understood that the network was just not close to the scalability that it takes for doing curation. And I think it is scalable to do governance even today, but we are improving. So I was getting these questions about Bitcoin for years. Okay, so Bitcoin is not scalable. So yeah, Bitcoin had or has like a bandwidth of 4 transactions per second. It's true, but we're scaling. It's a new world. The smartest guys on earth are working. Well, I'm not sure. There's also a few smart guys in physics and math and things like that, but really smart guys in the blockchain space, I must say.
Yeah.
And you can see the great work that they're doing, and Bitcoin is scaling these days. It is working. It's live. It's on the mainnet, and Ethereum will scale, and smart contracts will scale. We are working on it. We're doing that. It will take a year. It will take 2. It will take 3, but it will happen. And even if it will not happen like for the entire network, then yes, if you build your own off-chain protocol and basically custom-made it to your own app, then it will work as we see in Lightning networks. So yes, DAOstack will go there. If we're going there anyway, and this is the direction we'll keep. If there will not be like a more let's say whole solution of the space, which I'm sure there will be, but well, we can't tell when.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's shift gears for a couple more questions only. So Crypto Danny asks a question about identity. Would it be possible to find and transact with a DAO using its name rather than hex address? Similarly, I might ask something about individual identity. Will the members within a DAO be known primarily by their wallet addresses or also by their names and real-life identities? This is a question I get a lot. Presumably the latter, but would that require some kind of identity verification system? So what can you say about identity for DAOs and also individuals?
Okay. So this is first of all, hi, Crypto Danny. I met him in France.
Yeah.
DCC. So it was quite fun. Again, it's a good question, and I think the answer is that it's not as complicated as this. I like the scaling, and this is not a really complicated question. Okay, so you could see. So I don't know how many of our audience are familiar with the ENS, so the Ethereum namespacing. So this is just no, it is called DNS like it is some unique thing on Ethereum, but it's just a contract. And someone and people built a contract of similar to DNS of namespacing, and you can already I own the DAOstack ENS, DAOstack.eth, and basically I will give this ENS to our DAO when we launch it. So our DAO, you can interact with him using DAOstack. This is already solvable. Now we are building our own namespacing specifically for DAOstack, something called the archives, like a level of registries to help it identities around the system. But I think this is really something which is solvable and probably already solved, and it's better even to cooperate with other systems and not try to reinvent, something which is people worked on, and it's really not that hard of a question. Okay, you have to just have some. So basically, any app that you will build that will work with Arc, you could make it use the namespacing of different identities apps. So it's really easy. You could do it yourself. You don't even need us.
Sorry, I was muted because I was doing some typing with our moderation team. We have our community team also helping to feed questions and so forth. Okay, so let's broaden to talk about the landscape of other DAO platforms with this. Another question from David Lop or Yop. How might DAOstack integrate with other DAO platforms such as Aragon, Colony, Harbor Project? Any ideas there?
So I think there's a few levels to this question. So first of all, because DAOstack is so modular, then you could build your own scheme or contract that will make the bridge, and it will work. So it's yes, it is adaptable. It is you could link them. More than that, I think there is. So I can tell you there's some discussion between ourselves and Aragon and a few other teams about trying to make some kind of I won't call it an API or some kind of generic way to build a governance module so that they can be interchangeable between the systems and maybe have like an EIP about this. But at the moment, this is just discussions, so not more than that.
Mm-hmm. But you could imagine various types of integrations in the future.
Yes, I think. Well, I think this space is really okay. So again, not regarding DAOstack. Blockchain is the internet in '93. Okay, so let's there is a lot of room for cooperation, for competitors, for integrations. We have time. We're going to build a lot more things, and nothing is ending here. Okay, yeah, be modest.
Okay. All right, great. Well, I feel as though we've had a good session here, covered a good bunch of territory. Is there anything else that you'd like to share or check in on before we wrap?
No, I want to thank basically all the people that ask questions, and also all the community. I must say that it is really great. Well, even I was at ETC just now and got really replies on actually the code. So people actually reading the contracts. This is, you have no idea how great it is. And I have like I can tell a short story when I was in my PhD. So I once told a very distinguished professor, which I liked very much, that I got some critic about one of my papers, and said, "Wow, it's great! Someone actually reads your papers." Most of the papers are not even read by anyone. So if people are reading you, that's that's already a big deal. So yeah, we see that we're getting comments, and we see that people are actually reading what we are writing and programming and the white paper, and we're getting comments, and this is so great to know that people are actually getting involved. This is, after all, this is an open source product, and also not a product, it's an open source project, and I think this is one of our strengths. So unlike, I don't know, not so Colony, for example, just now opened their code, and I think this is they've done it like 2 years late. This is the open source territory, kingdom, and the more support and the more community you have, the better, and the more eyes on the codes, the better. Just find bugs, attack us, please do. Just open issues on GitHub. That's the best we can have,
Mm-hmm. You want one more question, or even two? We've got a couple more here that I'm actually just seeing here.
Let's let's do one more because I went to sleep like 5:30. And I woke up 7:30. So okay.
All right, great. So on Twitter, Emergier asks, how easy will it be to build the first dApps on top of Arc? Will it be as easy as launching a website on WordPress?
So the answer is yes, it will be. It will take. It will not be that easy tomorrow. WordPress was not Rome was not built in a day, and WordPress as well. But we're getting there. We basically build the whole ArcJS layer to make it easy for people to build apps on top of Arc, and we're getting very good comments on this layer. And we also see other projects doing the same thing and sharing this idea. Of course, we didn't invent it, not taking any credit. And I think it will be simple and easy for any JavaScript programmer to build an app using ArcJS that will utilize Arc. And we were just building like we're currently building like a hello world equivalent of a dApp to allow people just do it easily and just have this repo to start from, to know how to integrate into our contracts and work with them. So yeah, it will be easy very soon. Already it's quite easy and easier. Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you very much.
Okay, have a great one. Talk to you soon. See everybody in the community, and thank you so much for your questions and your participation. Bye now.
All right.